The ancient poet Hesiod tells us that if you were to drop a bronze anvil from the highest point of the heavens, it would fall for 9 days and 9 nights before it finally hit the earth. But here is the terrifying part. If you dropped that same anvil from the surface of the earth, it would fall for another 9 days and 9 nights before it hit the bottom of the universe. That bottom is called Tartarus, a pit of absolute darkness. A prison so deep that the roots of the sea and the earth are tied there. For eons, this pit was silent. But there was a moment in prehistory when the silence was broken by the screams of gods. We are talking about the Titanomachy, the 10-year war that decided who would own reality. It wasn't just a fight. It was a cosmic restructuring event. It was the Big Bang of mythology. On one side, the Titans, beings the size of mountain ranges. On the other, the Olympians, faster, smarter, and armed with technology that defied imagination. Today, we are going deep into the war that ended the Golden Age and forged the world we know. To understand why this war started, we have to understand the regime that was in power. This was the age of Cronus. In mythology, we often hear this called the Golden Age, where men lived without sorrow or labor. But for the gods, it was a reign of terror. Cronus, the Titan king, was not a benevolent ruler. He was the youngest of the 12 Titans, and he had seized the throne by castrating his own father, Uranus, the sky. Cronus learned a harsh lesson that day. Violence begets violence. As his father bled, he cursed Cronus, prophesying that he too would be overthrown by his own blood. This prophecy drove Cronus insane. He became the ultimate paranoid dictator. He didn't build jails, he became the jail. He married his sister Rhea, and every time she birthed a child, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, he snatched the infant and swallowed it whole. He wasn't killing them. They were immortal gods. He was imprisoning them in the acid-soaked darkness of his own stomach. Imagine the horror of that existence. 5 divine siblings, growing up fully conscious, trapped inside their father, waiting for an eternity that would never end. But you cannot cheat prophecy. Rhea, devastated by the loss of her children, devised a plan. When her 6th child, Zeus, was born, she fled to the island of Crete. She wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and handed it to Cronus. The king of Titans, blinded by his own paranoia, didn't even check. He swallowed the rock. Meanwhile, in a cave on Mount Ida, the true heir was growing up. This part of the story is often skipped, but it's crucial. Zeus didn't just grow up. He was raised by the earth itself. He was nursed by a divine goat, Amalthea. And to hide him, Rhea hired the Curettes, tribal warriors who danced outside the cave, clashing their spears against their shields every time the baby cried. Think about that image. The future king of the gods, raised in the shadows, listening to the clash of metal on metal. He wasn't born into royalty. He was born into war. He grew up drinking goat's milk and listening to the sound of swords. He was being hardened for one purpose: to cut his family out of his father. When Zeus came of age, he infiltrated Mount Olympus, the Titan stronghold. He didn't come as a warrior, but as a cupbearer. He slipped a powerful emetic, a potion of mustard and wine, into Cronus's nectar. The result was immediate and violent. Cronus purged. First came the stone, which landed at Delphi. And then, one by one, the 5 Olympians emerged. They were full-grown, armed, and furious. They fled to Mount Olympus, the highest peak in Greece, but they were outnumbered. The Titans were the established order. They controlled the gravity, the oceans, the sun, and the moon. The war began, and initially, it went poorly for the Olympians. For 10 solar cycles, they fought. The landscape of Greece was pulverized. When Oceanus, the titan of the world river, refused to fight, his neutrality caused floods. When Hyperion, the titan of light, attacked, he could scorch the earth from orbit. The Olympians had the agility, but they lacked the firepower. They were fighting a stalemate against the forces of nature itself. Zeus looked down from Olympus and realized, we are going to lose. The turning point didn't come from a battle. It came from a traitor. Prometheus was a titan. He was the son of Iapetus. But Prometheus's name literally means foresight. He could see the threads of fate. He looked at his fellow titans, arrogant, reliant on brute strength, unwilling to adapt, and he looked at Zeus, cunning, strategic, and ruthless. Prometheus saw the outcome. He went to Cronus and advised him, use strategy, not strength. Cronus ignored him. So, Prometheus walked out of the Titan camp and climbed Mount Olympus. He told Zeus the truth. You cannot win with force. The Titans are too strong. You need to control the very elements they use against you. You need the old ones. Prometheus was talking about the forgotten prisoners of Tartarus, the siblings Cronus had feared even more than his own children. This is the moment the genre shifts from war movie to heist film. Zeus left the front lines. He traveled to the edge of the world, found the passage to the underworld, and dove. Remember the anvil? 9 days and 9 nights of falling. Zeus descended into the blackest gloom of Tartarus. There, guarding the gates, was the dragon Campe. Zeus slew the beast in a violent skirmish, but the real prize was behind the doors. Inside, he found the Cyclopes, Brontes, Thunder, Steropus, Lightning, and Argus, Bright. And the Hecatoncheires, Cottus, Briareus, and Gyges. The Hundred-Handers. These beings were ancient, twisted, and terrifying. Cronus had locked them up because they were imperfections in his perfect universe. Zeus looked at them and didn't see monsters. He saw artillery. He broke their chains. He fed them nectar and ambrosia, revitalizing their strength after eons of starvation. He made them a simple offer. The man who locked you in here is fighting me. Help me, and you can be the ones to lock him away. The roar of approval shook the foundations of hell. Before they returned to the surface, the Cyclopes insisted on a gift exchange. They were the greatest smiths in existence, and they wanted to arm their liberators. They set up a forge in the deep earth. For Hades, the eldest brother, they took the shadows of Tartarus and hammered them into a helmet, the cap of invisibility. This wasn't just camouflage. It removed the wearer from the perception of others. It was the ultimate stealth technology. For Poseidon, they crafted a 3-pronged spear, the trident. It was tuned to the resonance of the earth. With a tap, it could crack a continent. And for Zeus, the Cyclopes crafted the ultimate weapon. They condensed the power of the storm, the heat of the stars, and the speed of light into physical form. The Thunderbolt. This was a weapon of mass destruction, capable of leveling cities and boiling seas. Armed with these god-killers, the Olympians ascended. The final battle took place on the plains of Thessaly. The Titans were gathered, confident that the Olympians were weakening. The attack began in silence. Hades, wearing the helm of darkness, slipped into the Titan camp unseen. He moved through their armory, destroying weapons, sowing confusion. The Titans began to panic, fighting shadows. Then the sound arrived. Poseidon struck the earth. The ground under the Titans' feet liquefied. Massive earthquakes shattered their formations. They stumbled, disoriented, and then Zeus unleashed the sky. He stood on the peak of Olympus and threw the first bolt. It hit the ground with the force of a nuclear impact. The flash blinded the Titans. The heat was so intense that the Titan ocean boiled. The forests of the earth caught fire instantly. Cronus tried to rally his forces, screaming commands, but he couldn't be heard over the thunder. The Titans, for the first time in their immortal lives, felt pain. Real, searing pain. But the Titans were tough. They began to push back, hurling mountains at Olympus. It looked like the stalemate might return. Then Zeus gave the signal for his secret weapon. From the ambushes in the cliffs, the 3 Hundred-Handers revealed themselves. Each one had 50 heads and 100 arms. They had stockpiled thousands of massive boulders, rocks the size of houses. They began to throw. 3 giants, 300 arms, 300 rocks every few seconds. It was a wall of stone, a geological bombardment. The sky turned black, blocked out by flying earth. The Titans were pummeled. They couldn't advance. They couldn't even stand. They were buried under a mountain of debris. The sheer kinetic energy of the assault broke their will. Cronus, buried under the rubble, looked up to see Zeus descending, holding a lightning bolt like a spear. The war was over. The aftermath was brutal. Zeus didn't grant mercy. He gathered the defeated Titans, Cronus, Iapetus, Hyperion, and bound them in chains of adamant, a metal that cannot be broken. He dragged them back to the pit they had once feared. He threw them into Tartarus, sealing the doors. But he needed guards, someone who wouldn't be bribed, someone who hated the Titans. He appointed the Hundred-Handers as the wardens of hell. They stand there still, ensuring the old gods never rise again. But there was one special punishment. Atlas, the Titan general who had led the charge. Zeus did not hide him in the dark. He made an example of him. He placed Atlas at the western edge of the world and forced the weight of the sky, Uranus, onto his shoulders. Atlas stands there today, his muscles straining, keeping the sky from crashing into the earth, a living monument to the cost of rebellion. With the war won, the three brothers gathered to divide the spoils. They didn't fight. They respected the laws of chance. They put 3 lots in a helmet and drew. Zeus drew the sky, becoming the king of gods. Poseidon drew the sea, becoming the earth shaker. Hades drew the underworld, becoming the lord of the dead. The Titanomachy was the end of the primal chaos. It established the hierarchy that would rule mythology for thousands of years. But it taught the Olympians a dangerous lesson. Power is maintained through force. And as they sat on their new thrones, they failed to notice that Gaia, the Earth Mother, was weeping for her Titan children. She was already planting the seeds for the next war, the War of the Giants. The victory of Zeus shaped the geography, the politics, and the fears of the ancient world. But did he really save the world, or did he just put it under new management? If you want to see the sequel to this war, where Gaia unleashes the ultimate monster, Typhon, to kill Zeus, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We are working on that script right now, and trust me, you don't want to miss the father of all monsters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next chapter of history.